Okay. More are entering the room. Hello, friends. Welcome. Welcome to tonight's chat. We are recording. It's everybody's favorite time. It's Stamp Chat time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name's Heidi with the American Philatelic Society. I'm so happy to see so many friends on the call tonight. I couldn't be more thrilled to see Graham's video the other night. I've got to give him a shout out. He's here with us listening, and that I think everybody really got a powerful charge out of that YouTube. I know I do. I've watched it over and over and over. So thank you so much. And James, you were featured in that, and you came off as a very powerful force too. And you've been working behind the scenes. We met each other on Twitter a few months ago, and you know, I could tell that you had you're a spirited person, and I really liked it. And you know, congratulations, your last video, well, your last Snapchat, you have about 900 views, so that's really outstanding, and that is a testimony to this. There's a forward-thinking momentum, and we're all here to listen to what you have to say, the truth bombs, the wisdom, and I know we'll all be carrying it forth. And one of the best ways that you can carry forth philately is by becoming a member of the American Philatelic Society. If you are not already a member, and if you are, thank you so much, and please continue your membership. If you have a friend, thank you. Mick Piscitelli's got his AP there. Awesome. If you know anybody who's not an APS member, please hook them up. Thank you, Stanley. I love to see that. Stan's got his. Get them. We've got digital subscriptions. We've got international subscriptions. We've got that really cool 25 under 30 for the millennial set. So there is a price point for everybody. And we all know the huge benefit of like minds meeting together. So, and all that comes from philately. So without further ado, thank you so much for your support and for joining us. And Mr. James Gavin of Rhodesian Study Circle, welcome, welcome, welcome from Australia. Thank you so much for making this trek with us. And I'm going to turn it over to you, friends. Please mute your mics. I'll go ahead and mute you all, but let's be big girls and big boys and make sure that we are muted. I'm going mute, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back and joining us. So today I've decided, I was asked to come back, and I thought I would do a follow-up to the future of philately is here about websites, and just have a look at the next phase of that, which is Facebook. So there's a lot of Facebook groups out there at the moment, and most of them okay, but there's some basic things that they may not get right. People may not understand what Facebook actually is. So today we're going to look at how we stand out in the crowd on Facebook as stamp collectors. So as I mentioned in the last video I did, if you haven't watched it, go to the American Philatelic Society's YouTube channel. You can check it out. You might hear me talk about a few things like a traditionalist and a modernist on this session. So if you're not too sure about that, go have a look. I probably will cap on the plan, the 5-year plan that I suggested people have a look at. And I know that a lot of philatelic organizations have actually taken up that challenge, which is awesome. What we'll then do is we'll have a look at an intro to Facebook, just about some background to it to give you a bit of an idea of what you're aiming at. We'll then have a look at pages, and we'll also have a look at groups, the two main different types of setups for Facebook. So as I mentioned, we have the traditionalist and the modernist in stamp collecting. So they interact very differently. They do kind of cross over in this Facebook group. And again, when I go on Facebook and when we get to some of the stats and that, you'll see where that comes into play. But your main purpose of Facebook really is to bring people back to your website. So it's really important that your website you've worked on that, you've got it up to date, it's fully functional, people can join on there, it's easy to use. Focus on that first. Once you've done that, then move on to actually doing the Facebook side of things and bringing that up to date. So as I mentioned, all social media has to bring it back to your website, because that's where you're going to get your memberships, that's where you're going to get your databases from, where people want to interact with you, etc. So let's have a look at Facebook and where do you focus your attention. So in these stats here are based on American usage. So if anyone's joining us from the UK or from overseas, these might be a little bit different. But when we have a look at social media, 90.4% of millennials will use social media. So that's basically anyone born between the periods roughly of 1981 to 1996. 77% of Generation X, which is 1960s to 1970s, and 48.2% of baby boomers, which is 46 to 64. So when I was talking about the modernists, and one of the things I said is modernists are usually born after the 1970s, this is where you actually start to see some of the figures. So you're looking, you know, a good proportion of that population, and this is America, are interacting socially online. So Facebook itself started roughly around about 2003. I'm sure that we've all seen movies and bits and pieces on how that all started, but roughly around about 2003. And it has about 2.45 billion users a month. So that's the audience that you can tap into as a philatelic organization. 68% of the US population use Facebook. So it's a huge chunk of people that you can reach out to. However, it is an aging platform in some people's minds. So if you start having a look at millennials, generally I'd say around about the 25 and under, and you tell them you're a Facebook user, they're probably like, oh, you're a grandfather or grandmother, like you're considered old. So it is in some eyes an aging platform, and that's where other social media like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok I hear is taking off at the moment as well. It's another platform in terms of where they might lie. So when you have a look at on the chart just in the middle, just around here, you'll see that there's more females will use Facebook than males. And you're really seeing that the main groups are going to be the 18-29, 30-49, 50, 64, like the really big groups there. So when we're having a look at the collecting lifestyle, we know that usually children will be introduced to stamp collecting at an earlier age. So maybe say under 15, around that. Around about their 20s to 30s, they won't collect. It'll just get put away. And then they'll come back into it into their 30s until the end of the life cycle. So this kind of fits, Facebook will fit into that part where people are picking it up again. So that 30 plus group. And I find that's pretty much similar to what I get on our Facebook page, is that demographic. So if you're working out who am I aiming for, where am I going to get my best bang for buck in terms of getting people to join, this one, you're looking at that 30 plus year olds re-entering stamp collecting. So it's a good thing to know. So on Facebook, there's two types of interaction you can do. There's pages and there's groups. And this is where I find a lot of philatelic organizations struggle to understand the difference or struggle to know what to do with a page and with a group. And it becomes a bit of a hodgepodge of duplication or mess, and you're not too sure, you know, do I join the group? Do I join the page? And then one's got content on it and the other one's like dead. And so we'll have a look at this. So the first one we'll have a look at is pages. So the best way to describe a page is to say, this is your business and this is the front door to your business. So if you're the American Philatelic Society, you're going to want a page that actually enters into that organization. If Rhodesian Study Circle, most of our content is done through a page. So I'll go through some of the bits and pieces about a page. So there are tons of settings on Facebook. I'm not going to cover all of them on this, but if you do have any questions, and you may not be able to do the chat after this video, please post them in the YouTube comment section, because I'll I'll monitor that and I'll keep on top of that. So subscribe to APS and just put your questions down there. So with Pages, it is a set layout. It's designed for businesses. So as you can see here, I have my banner. I have what I've selected as the main options for me. In settings, there is like a whole heap of options that you can go through, and you can choose which ones are going to work for your particular organization. There's a little bit over here which will be an about us, which is important to update. So I just put my membership details in there and who we are, so that if someone lands on this page, they know what it's about. Because Rhodesian Study Circle, it could actually mean anything, and we get a variety of people joining this, so they might not know whether it's, you know, just a historical page, whether it's a stamp page, they don't know. So I put the little about in there and I kind of give some flavor to it so that they understand what it is. Now, the good thing with a page is the newsfeed is controlled by the admin or administrator. So what I post on there, what I post will only be seen in the main newsfeed. If anyone else posts anything, it won't be seen on the newsfeed. And this is good because you do get a lot of people that will post. Big one is, you know, I found my grandma's stamp collection album, you know, am I now rich and can retire? So this just gets rid of all that kind of crap that falls into that main part. And when you do have your page, one of the important things to do is like other pages or groups as your page. So I tend to find that some people, so they'll set up their page and then they'll post something. And if they share it, they might share it under like my name, James Gavin, so that people don't realize that the group that's sharing it or the page that's sharing it is actually the Rhodesian Study Circle. When you go to like pages and groups, unless there's a setting issue that the administrator has set in place, you should be able to like it as any page that you've set up. So if I wanted to post something on the like the Scouts collecting page, which I interact with often because we have a lot of stuff from Zimbabwe in regards to scouting, I'll share it as my page. Or if I share it to a South African Collector Society, I'll share it at my page. So that way they know it's the Rhodesian Study Circle sharing it, not James Gavin. So you're continuing that promotion along the line and that link of where the source of the information is coming from. There are also public and private options available for your page. Ours is 100% public, so I'm not locking it down. I'm not making people answer questions to join or wait for it to be approved. I want everyone to see this. If you're not even a Facebook user, so you don't have a Facebook account at all, you can still access this page on a Google search. So if someone wants to know if we're there, they may join Facebook, they may not, but they will still be able to see it. They won't be able to do full interaction with it. It does have limitations. So when you're visiting it without being a member of Facebook, it will kind of keep on throwing up a banner saying, would you like to join? Would you like to join? Or you've exhausted, you know, visibility to this page. But there's enough there to kind of have someone understand what it's about and decide whether or not they want to join up. The next thing is to get the address right. So as you can see, what happens is that people set up their Facebook. So ours is Rhodesian Study Circle, but a lot of them leave the like default numbers on there. So I think there was the Young Philatelist group replied to UK Philately's blog the other day, and they said, go visit our group or page, and it was just a bunch of numbers. And it's like, you need to go and fix that up because no one will ever know what all those numbers mean. And you know, what's the point then if you're just a bunch of numbers? So just with your pages, make sure, and your groups as well, make sure that you set up the address so that it's actually you, and make it easy. Don't try and avoid things like, you know, if you were the Royal Philatelic Society of London, don't put RPSL because people may not be looking for those acronyms. Hate acronyms. The other thing to do, have a look, is enable email sign up. So on the side here, I actually enabled this. It's in the settings, and it goes directly back to our MailChimp account. So sometimes people will want to subscribe to our newsletter, we have a monthly newsletter that I write. It doesn't do anything that our journal will do. So if you're worried it'll take away from a publication that is of value to your organization, it doesn't do that. I simply send out an email that will say, you know, little blurb about what's happening usually in the online world, and then links to free things like Le Congo Lattes, which is a free publication. There's the Korean Stamp Society, I might say there's free join up. So I'll keep people engaged. But we actually do get people that then join the Rhodesian Study Circle from these emails that we send out to them. So they don't join, they might be there for 2 years, and then all of a sudden they've like, we'll see the membership application come through online. So it's a really good way to just link up. Every probably few months, I'll just say, hey, if you want to keep up to date with our newsletter, sign up, and do a little arrow and people will sign up. So that's kind of Pages as an overview, and how to get started. Definitely, if you're looking at your plan, so you've done your website and you're going to hit Facebook, the next part of your plan, do your page first. Once you've done your page, we then will look at, oh, sorry, the other thing, I've nearly forgot, events. Post your events on Facebook. A lot of organizations don't post any events. When you post an event on your Facebook page, I can share it on my Facebook page and I can put it in my list of events. So many organizations just don't do this, so no one knows what's happening. Really easy to do. It's only like a 5-second job. Get those events up and happening. Please. Oh, I thought I finished on Pages. I'm still going. So the next part is photos. So when you post a photo as a newsfeed item, it'll just get lost in the newsfeed. And this is what your photos will end up looking like, which is just a bunch of photos. It can make it really hard to find it. There are search functions that you can enable on Facebook, but I don't tend to find they work that great. They'll skim through some posts, and if the posts have the relevant information in them, then they'll pick them up and give you search results. But you can't search photos for some weird reason. You can't search photos, can't search albums unless they're attached to a post. So you've got all these photos, whole heap, really great, good looking. Put them into albums. So as you can see, everything that I post, I put into an album and I label what the album is about. So that way, if people have to scroll through all the albums, they can kind of get all the like-minded material together in one hit. So there are a couple of groups. I know there's like a historical photograph group for Zimbabwe, and they'll put things maybe like Bulawayo or Salisbury or Umtali together so that if people are looking, they can find them. But you will find that nearly every single group doesn't do this. They just kind of have random albums of bits and pieces, and it's absolutely useless. Once I put them into the album, I then link them back to the website. So here you can see some work that Mark Loomis, one of our members in America, does on missions in Zimbabwe and Malawi and that. So we'll actually put the title of the page that's on my website. I'll put the link back to the website, and then we just put some images. So usually I put one image that's not related to stamps at all, and then I'll put a whole heap of stamp images behind that. And so some of these albums can have 30 to 50 images behind them of different items, from revenue items to, you know, it's just stamps, whatever. Now on a desktop, these links for some reason won't hyperlink, so I can't click them. So I do need to copy and paste them into a browser in order to get back to our website. Again, I don't know why Facebook doesn't do this. But if you use it on a mobile device or a tablet, these actually do become hyperlinks. So if you're on your phone and a user wants to check it out and they clicked on the hyperlink, it'll take them directly to our website. So mobile device, it's a hyperlink. Desktop, it's a dead link. It's crazy, but that's how it works. So either way, people know where to find more information. That's the main point. So now I'm on to groups. So the next part is groups. So we've got your pages. Next part is your groups, which is really your community. So this can be kind of like, think of it like a discussion board, but on Facebook, okay? So this is our one that we have. I don't particularly find a lot of success with ours, but I think that's more to do with how we use Facebook. We used to have a discussion board back in 2008, 10. I killed that as soon as I took over the website. Just gutted it, killed it. We did set up this first as a group. It didn't really go that well. I've set it up as a marketplace so people can buy, sell, and swap. I think it's a bit too specialized, so it doesn't really work for us, but it does work. These pages, these groups, sorry, do work for others. So it's understanding if it's not working, it's not working. Don't invest time to try and make it work. That's my thing. So with groups, anyone can post to the newsfeed here. So it means, you know, if someone has something they want to sell, they can post it on here. If they want to post an article, they can post it on here. So what that requires out of your organization is to have what they call moderators. So people who are constantly looking at that content to make sure, A, it's appropriate, that someone's not posting, you know, vulgar material or anything like that on there. And also the quality, like some people post really bad stuff, whether you want to keep that on there or not. So where a page doesn't really require any active moderation other than to maybe answer inbound inquiries from the membership base, this one will. You can set your groups to private or public. With groups, I personally don't mind if they're set to private. The only thing is you can either answer a bunch of questions. Anyone who's been on Facebook and joined one of these groups, you'll find you can answer a bunch of questions. Some of the questions are just really long, and you know, tell us the last time that you know, lived in South Africa and blah blah blah. It's like, well, I don't. I just want to join. The good thing with the private is that you can filter out, and I think it's really good when you use the buy, sell, swap functionality on there, because what you will find is people will go, as I mentioned, I've got grandma's collection, how much is it worth? And everyone will be like, where's the pictures? And so then they post a picture and it's taken like they've never taken a selfie before in their life. And it's this very blurry image that they post on there. So it kind of gets rid of some of that. The other good thing is if you are using the sell by swap functionality is you can also manage your who's actually posting on there. So you will get people that will try and scam buyers out of particular items. If you have control over that and you get a report that someone has scammed, or you're noticing that there's something that's a little bit odd about this poster, you can automatically just stop it from posting. So you can either just let people post straight away, or the other thing you can also do is moderate the content before it actually gets posted. I hate that. I hate having to post something. If I'm a good poster, I've got no problems, that a moderator has to approve, which could be 2 days for it to then appear on the group. So if there's usually groups that require that, I just won't bother interacting with them. So it's okay to do those questions or to do the check before you allow the person to join the group. But once you do, it's open slather. If they don't actually meet your guidelines or your posting rules, just block them, just get rid of them out of the group. It just makes it a bit more interactive. So there is a buy, sell, swap functionality on there, as I mentioned. When they do post on there, it can be shared with Facebook's marketplace. So it's kind of like Facebook's version of eBay. There's no fees involved or anything like that. So if you are a small organization, you may want to use that functionality. It just, you won't have to pay fees or anything. So if you're trying to recoup some costs, you know, to run the organization, which, you know, funds are very important for smaller organizations, you can just set this up and then set it to private and then let people post there. So it's a good little function. They introduced it a few years ago. Yeah, it depends on your organization whether you use that or not. So there's a few, if you are looking going, hey, you know, which ones should I have a bit of a look at to kind of get a feel of some good Facebook groups or pages? Evolution of Mankind and Philately. It's actually really cool. So as you can see, just on the side, just around here, I'm not sure if that's showing up under the main title on that image. You'll see that I'm interacting here as the Rhodesian Study Circle. So anything I post will always relate back to us. But this is a really good page. The reason I like this group, sorry, the reason I like this one is that they kind of post articles that are related to the evolution of humans mixed in with stamps. So rather than just getting a whole feed of stamps, you're getting this variety, this like museum of evolution. It's a really cool page. I stumbled across this one, as I tend to do. So have a check of that one. Another one I found while I was looking is this medical philately collectors. So the person who runs this has both a page and a group. So there's two. This is kind of cool as well. It's got a whole heap of stuff on COVID. So if you're a collector out there at the moment trying to get a lot of philatelic and postal history for COVID, which I know there are on Instagram, yeah, this is a really good one to check out. And it's an easy one to post to. It's got a fun banner on it. Yeah, that's another one. And then you've got another one that I found was sled dogs. Again, all about sled dogs, crazy. But it's a really good group. It actually covers all these bits and pieces. So there's tons of stuff out there. Now, one thing I do suggest that once you've got your page set up, go and like as many pages as you can and as many groups as you can. So anyone who uses Facebook knows that when you like someone, normally, so if I was to like Heidi's page, all of a sudden we'll get all these recommendations of Heidi's friends and my friends, and let's all become buddies. This is exactly the same with pages. So if you go and like as many pages as you possibly can, as soon as you see them come up, you'll start building up a really good audience. You can then either follow or unfollow these. So there's liking a page or a group, and then following a page or group. So if you turn off the follow function, it means you don't see that information. So, if I liked maybe the Vietnam Collector Society, but I wasn't really seeing any content that was relevant to us or where we could engage, I might unfollow them. So I'm still a fan of them, but I'm just not following them. So do that. That's the same with any social media, whether you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, like as many good quality sites or sites that you like as you possibly can to build up that audience. And you will have a news feed on your page behind in the administration side of things. You will have a news feed, so you will see when they post things, and if they've posted little photos, you'll get little photos in there and bits and pieces. So do that. So that's kind of the basics of Facebook. I've kind of left it a little bit shorter than probably what the website stuff was, just to see if anyone had questions. So I know some questions came out of the last chat and just in general. So Heidi.
Oh, James, that was fantastic. And I could look around the gallery and I could tell that those whose cameras were on were also nodding with enthusiasm. So thank you. That was concise, very efficient. And, I like when you said you killed the discussion group. That was pretty funny. But yeah,
I hate them.
I like the very clean approach and go get them approach, and those groups that you showcased at the those last three, the sled, and they were fantastic. So I can't wait to like them.
Yeah, go check them out. They're really cool.
It was marvelous. Thank you. So I don't want to hog the time. I mean, you and I can just talk forever, but I want to make sure everybody has plenty of actually, it's just nice compliments to you. Do we have friends that would like to ask James a question? I know that there are people. Yes, Stan, please go ahead.
James, you said in your open that fix your website first before
Yes.
you go Facebook pages. So by fix your website, that means content, get your blog going, make sure you have a blog routine, and then build the Facebook following after that. Is that
Kind of. So everything you do in social media has to lead back to your website. So the purpose of your website should be to engage with the new community. So if I was a stamp society, I really would want to be going, how do I get their contact details? So where are they comfortable enough to give me their email address? Because if I start communicating with them, whether it's through a newsletter or every time your subscriptions come up for renewal, I want to be able to send it out to them to say, hey, look, you've liked us on this social media, you've come to our website, you've given us your details, so maybe you want to join us. So when I say fix your website, make sure that your website has a form that they can subscribe to in terms of a newsletter or a database, something where you can get their information. So, and you don't want to send them back to a website that looks really bad and then they can't find where to sign up, and then, you know, it was last updated in 2010, all those type of things. So it's better to focus as part of your plan, get your website functioning, make sure you got all your membership details on the front page, get a basic subscribe section where it's just like, hey, it's just a free newsletter that you can join up to, or send us your details, that type of thing. Get all that set up, make it look good, and then go to the Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and then start bringing them back.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Thank you,
You're
James.
welcome.
We have a question from Marty Lungo. Thanks, Marty, for joining in. Hey, do clubs need a website before going on Facebook? Okay, I guess, yeah, well, you just nailed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend it. So in the Future of Philately is here, so the video that I did probably about a month ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, I outline what you should be doing. Websites are really important. People shop online, they shop at a website, they, you know, do their banking online, everything's done online. So if you're not visible online, you can go onto Facebook still, but it's kind of like, what's the purpose? Other than, you know, you've got a Facebook page, great, but what's it going to give you in the long run? So if you don't, and it's so easy to get a website started these days compared to 20, 30 years ago. So there's really shouldn't be any reason why you don't have a website. Even if it's basic, you don't need a big website. Ours is big because that's part of our plan of how we're moving forward. But you can have a single one-page effective website that doesn't cost you a lot. Just have some visibility there that where you can get people back to.
And don't be afraid to go around and take notes of the websites that you are looking and that you are attracted to. And oftentimes these website developers will have templates, you know, that will resonate with you. Because like James said, it's very unattractive for a visitor, particularly a young, I hate to say, but they're very aesthetic and very brand oriented. Like when you come to a site and it's like, wah, wah, static, yuck, you know, you're losing people right there.
And the good thing, as you said, Heidi, one of the good things to do is go have a look at a non-philatelic website. So go have a look at, you know, say Macy's or Walmart in America. Go have a look at their website, see how they're set up, see what their front pages are. Museums, any museums, big museums, so maybe the Met in New York, go have a look at their website. I know here in Melbourne, Australia, the state, Victorian State Library's website, it's really fun. The Natural History Museum in London, go have a look at their website, see what they're doing to bring people into that organisation.
Excuse me. I've learned from Mark Bailey. I'm going to get a little bit cross here. Somebody's got their mic on. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, James.
It's all good. Next question.
Okay, I have one moment, please. Nicholas, please go ahead, hon, and unmute your mic.
Hi, James. Thank you for your presentation. That was very good. I was just curious to know if you rely on paid or sponsored publications a lot, or if the stuff you put out is 100% organic.
What do you mean, if you don't mind?
Well, when you post something on your Facebook page, do you actually, do paid publications so it gets more viewers, or you stay away from that?
We don't pay for anything in terms of any social media content at all. So the only thing that we would ever charge for is our membership. So if someone joins the Rhodesian Studies Circle, they have access to our journal. They have access to what we call memoirs or handbooks, which are like specialist written guides. But the guides are available to non-members as well. But they're a bit more expensive because obviously the benefit of joining us is, that you get some perks. But nothing. I don't do any paid advertising or anything like that in order to get people to like our page or be a fan of our page. Most of it is working with other Facebook pages. I mentioned this in the last video as well, is we have a lot of Rhodesian and Malawi historical pages. So when we post things like postcards, which is really big, postcards are massive when we post them. One postcard can get between 3,000 to 10,000 views. When we post those, we have a lot of people start posting, I went there, or I went to school there, or I know that hospital, or that's my family. And that's how, and then they'll start like tagging other people, and then other people come and like. So, I mean, probably we're coming up to nearly 3,000 fans on our page. And I would probably say that about half of those are actually stamp collectors. The other half are more historians, which is great because we get a lot of information about philatelic items that we would never know about that pops up from these people. It's really, really, it's my geek, but I just love it. It's like so good. And you suddenly go, that's who that is. Or, there's a photograph of them. Or especially with postcards, we get one of the groups that we like, it's Zimbabwe History 50 years and back, along those lines. And they post photos from their family albums. And we've actually been able to work out who took postcard photographs back in 1904 from them posting album pictures from 1896. And we can just start working out how the evolution of those pictures on postcards. It's fascinating. So yeah, just go out and like people and they'll come back. And then it all goes back to our website. So I would say a good 60% of our website traffic comes from Facebook, and I think it's around about 70% is mobile device usage. It used to be more desktop, but now it's way more mobile device usages. So yeah, like. Engage with your community. Find out what's outside of your community. Who might be interested in the content that you're posting. And then go out and like their pages.
Excellent.
I hope that answered your question.
And you're going to be bombarded now, James, with these types of questions. Here we go. From Peter Little, what does a website deliver and feature is important? As you know, my prime moan. Peter, did you want to moan, meaning complain in British? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I get it. Being in the middle of America and the UK, we get it. Look, some of the main problems I always have, paper forms, and I hate paper forms, Peter. No one uses paper forms. Absolutely no one. But there was one comment from a 26-year-old on UK Philately's blog post that said, no, I like doing forms because it's very therapeutic. I was like, you must be the only person in the world that likes filling out forms. I don't find it therapeutic. I really haven't filled out a form in years. Most of the government organisations here in Australia, or the banking, if I do anything, it's all on an app. I don't fill out forms. I just give an email address, my name, sometimes my date of birth, depending on how happy I am with that. And that's it. Yeah. So always paper forms. And navigation is a big one. I hate bad navigation, and I also hate navigation. I'm trying to think what the 10 were that I was talking about the other day. Definitely paper forms, navigation, oh, and out-of-date events. Hate out-of-date events. And bad designs. Bad designs are hard. You know, make it look exciting. Like if you look at the groups that I showed you on Facebook, like the dogs, like it's like I know what it's about. The medical one was like really interesting, but the evolution of mankind is really cool because it actually has the link with all the little skulls on it, and then it's got all the little stamps with all the little skulls. And like straight away, I picked out Zambia out of that one. I was like, oh, I know that Zambia one. But it draws you in, and that's what your website needs to do. It needs to draw you in. So if you're a boring website, why am I there? Why am I there? Why do I have to read a page of information that's about, you know, your president's report from 6 years ago that, you know, I don't care about. I really don't care about that. I just want stamps. Give me my stamps. So yeah.
Well, and I would be remiss if I didn't suggest everyone also go look at stamps.org as a well maintained and finely tuned website. We have a terrific webmaster who oversees that like a hawk. So
yeah, and you guys have done really well in the last couple of years as well.
Yes, thank you. Larry R., would you like to read your question? I give 3 seconds. All right, wah, wah. I read it aloud for you. Would you please clarify what happens when you like another page? What are the interactions between your page and the page you have liked? Good question.
Sure. So, so for example, I might share. So if I've got postcards from a company called Sallow Epstein, which is a South African publisher, turn of the century, I post them on my Facebook page. I then want to share that with the South African Postcard Collectors Group. Now, if I don't like the page as the Rhodesian Studies Circle, when I share that, I'm sharing it as James Gavin. No connection to RSC at all. It's all James Gavin. But if I like that group, or if I join that group as the Rhodesian Studies Circle, I can actually share the content as the Rhodesian Studies Circle, which then becomes a hyperlink on that name to take me back to my page. So people know the source of the information is not me, it's the organization I represent, rather than just me personally. As I mentioned, some groups and pages have, I think, may have turned off that functionality because you can't do it. It won't allow you to join. But usually when you click the join button, it'll come down with the list of all the groups. So I've got a couple of groups that I work with, you know, one being Sierra Online from the 80s, and it's a few pages. So I can go down and choose any pages that I represent in order to like that group or be part of that group. And then it'll show you as posting as yourself, and it'll come down. Even if you make a comment on something, you can actually drop the comment down to choose between yourself or the group that you represent once you've liked the page. So if, you know, APS posted something and I wanted to go, hey, you know, Rhodesian Study Circle's got all this, I can actually post the comment as the Rhodesian Study Circle, not as myself personally. So it's about visibility. Everyone's just seeing that it's the Rhodesian Study Circle, not me.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Joan Harmer, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yes, I did. Sorry. Let me on video myself too. So.
Oh, great, honey. Welcome. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Yeah, these are great talk. You know, we always have a challenge because a lot of our people don't know what a computer is, let alone what Facebook is. But what I was wondering was, you mentioned, I think you said this, you don't do ads, the Facebook ads. And
no.
So you wouldn't know if they really work or not to get like young people to come to stamp stuff.
I'm trying to think, because personally I don't like ads, and I know that most people that that I know don't like the ads. So I was a little bit concerned going out and putting ads out there anyway. Whether they click it or just go, no, it's annoying. But I don't know the success of ads, to be honest with you. I know what the amount of reaches that my post gets, which means how many people have touched that post, which, as I said, one image can be 3,000 to 10,000 people easily. But I just don't know how beneficial ads are, and especially to say anyone under 30, whether or not they even care, they'll click on it. Because most people will Google search. If they want to find you, they'll Google search you, or they'll search you within Facebook. So,
did you want to chime in? I'm reading the chat. There is Mr. Telly.
Can I add a point to Joan's question real quick?
Okay, here we go. Hold on one moment.
So Joan, hey, it's Scott English with the APS. We've never used strategically the Facebook advertising to just advertise the organization generally. I think you've got to have value in the content. And so if you're promoting either a special event, for instance, we do events here locally, and like we had a Mr. Rogers event, so we did something locally, and boy, it drove 500 people to we called it the second day ceremony for the Mr. Rogers stamp, and it was a lot of young families, because we targeted very specifically to get to that. If you have content, I always suggest to people that you've got to give people a reason to want to read it, other than just, hey, come buy from me. You've got to add a value to their click, and that is if you can provide them with a short educational piece link that goes along with it, and then you're promoting something to go with it. So you're selling a specific style of stamp from the US. You want to give them some historical background first before they get to it. That tends you tend to get better results from that type of advertising than if you just go, hey, we're having a sale this weekend, or we're doing an auction on this date, and we want you to participate in it. So you've got to give them something in order to get their click. And we find the results are a little bit more invested once they do that.
Okay, that's interesting, because I did notice that we used the Facebook ads, because when you sign up, it was a mistake when I clicked it, and $35 later, I had some ads. I also got people viewing it, and we did get some people in, which was made me think, I wonder what these ads do, because I don't even really know what they are when I'm on Facebook. And that's probably, my naivety, but.
So consider what you're promoting, and think about the audience that you want to see that. If you look at the statistics that James provided earlier, I am an exception to the rule, but Generation X, which is really the folks from the mid 30s to almost 60 years old, I'm within that age group. I hate Facebook as a personal use tool. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you know that I hate Facebook because I use Twitter constantly. But but many people in my cohort, and those are people who are established in life, people who are established in their careers, who are, if you're looking to get people to invest in you and your organization, that's the group that you really want to target anyway. So you really want to try to cater to that audience, and then target that audience a little bit more effectively. I know everyone says, oh, we need the under 30s. Well, I got bad news for you. Go use Instagram or Snapchat if you want under 30 collectors, because the platform for young collectors just isn't Facebook. You're going to have better success if you use another social media outlet for them.
And that sounds
and
like
you'll also find.
great talk.
Thank you.
I just excuse me, I just want to make sure that, because we have 12 minutes and there is momentum building here in the chat. So if we can come back to ads, just so I can make sure some of our other friends have an opportunity to speak with you, James. So here we go. And thank you, Mr. English, Executive Director of APS. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Ken's, we have Kurt Streepy. He's with the First Issues Collectors Club. He has a question, and I would be remiss in not saying that their club is looking for a South African representation. So perhaps you guys can talk at some point. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Always.
Hey, hello. Hey, first a comment about your first program on the websites. We quickly got on that of doing some improvements to our website. We're not done yet, but we definitely spruced it up. Got rid of the mention of a dead member, got rid of the forum that hadn't been used in 10 years, just changed the colors and moved things around a little bit. I got all kinds of comments from current members that thought we had a whole new website just because we changed the colors, and they thought it was fabulous. And then we also, at the same time, we started a Twitter account, and then I did that APS program. So that kind of that shotgun all together, boom, we got some members, and most of them did go from the APS YouTube to the Twitter, then found our website and joined based on the website. So it was to have that all pieced together was really good. My question is on your Facebook, your Twitter, do you have different people doing, one person's doing Facebook, one person's doing Twitter, or are you able to manage them all? And then the second part of that, you do it all. So do you post some of the same material both on Twitter and Facebook, or do you try to make it different? Because I guess it's a different population, so it probably could be the same.
So the strategy with our website is that I wanted to make the website as an entry point historically into stamps of the Central Africa. So I don't write all the content, but I probably write most of the content, but I also publish all of the content. So what might happen is so for example, my Mark Loomis in America, he'll send me a Word document, all the relevant covers or pictures regarding missions in Central Africa. I'll take that and then I'll publish it on our website. So I'll have all the background, who the people are, facilities available there, right? I'll then post the images on Facebook, and then I'll link it back to our website. So now we've got the two channels working between each other. Twitter, I don't really do that, and Instagram, I don't really do that, although I've only just got into the Instagram side of things, so I haven't really, I'm still working that one out, how we would fit into that, that particular social media. But on Twitter, I tend to not do that much of that side of things. I tend to be more interact with other organizations on Twitter. So Graham Beck was doing one the other day, which is the emojis. Do an emojis and get a stamp, right? So I'll just go and join that, and I'll as Rhodesian Studies Circle, and emoji, and here's a stamp that looks like the emoji, and then and you get involved in those things, which is kind of the fun side of it. For some people, but I like both. But I do it all myself. It's not hard. Like the hardest part for me is the website, is researching background information on stuff, because finding stuff on Rhodesia is so difficult. Most of the publications that are in Zimbabwe are probably sitting in some vault, and they'll never see the light of day because the internet services over there are not as strong as they are in other parts of the world. So it's like combing through Google books, passage at a time, trying to put back together history. Fun, but time consuming. So I hope that answers your question.
Hey, could I jump in again? I'm sorry, I don't want to dominate the conversation either, Heidi, but Kurt, one thing that you can look at is you can centralize your social posting through something like Hootsuite or Sprout Social or something like that. Buffer is another example of one. I'd look around and try to figure out what makes you comfortable. And what you can do is, suppose it's 10 o'clock at night. That's the worst time to post socially, but you can schedule it for the next day, and even be able to, if you paid a little extra, be able to get like analytics on how the engagement is, so you can start tailoring the messages. I really do recommend that a lot of times you try to tailor the messages. Twitter is more interactive, so you'll see a combination of live tweets and scheduled tweets from me, so that I can, engage people in a different way. But when it comes to Facebook posting, LinkedIn's another good place to go if you're interested, where you can schedule the posts and share information. You can even set it up to repeatedly share the information, so you'll get more eyes on it and get more engagement and interaction with it. So that would be a really easy way to manage your social media accounts as an individual person. So that's just a tip I think that might be helpful.
Absolutely.
Just work out what works for you.
Do you use a Hootsuite or a Buffer or something? No?
No. I literally don't have time. So the website takes up most of my information, but I don't have, and this is the thing, you can have a whole multitude of products available to you. work out what works for you. So for some people that's going to work perfectly. Others it won't. Don't get stressed. You don't need to be on every social media platform. Just choose which is working. So Facebook works big time for us because our demographics of collectors are going to be ex-Rhodesians, who are probably 60, 70, 80 plus. It's only the younger crowd that'll come through that may have ancestral connections, or there might be, which I'm really excited, we're starting to see more Africans, Central Africa, like African from Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Zambia. They're starting to pop up, so that next generation's coming through. But so Facebook works for us, not so much the other ones, but I've got to work out how we could do that. So yeah.
They definitely, each platform certainly has its own flavor. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm like hesitant to ask if Graham Beck wanted to say anything about the social media, about Facebook, or Graham's
hi,
not
everyone.
on Facebook, so.
No, I'm not. I'm
No.
not. And I wish I knew James when I started my whole social media exploration into stamps, because that could have helped tremendously. And I probably should have had a Facebook page. And totally, if I ever get Facebook, I'm probably going to go straight for that sled dogs group, and then I'll go for Rhodesian Study Circle. Just saying it because that looked cool. But no, I mean, it's amazing. And Heidi, you mentioned that every social media seems to have a different flavor, and it's drastically different.
It's drastically different.
It's incredible. I tend to have the most fun on Instagram for some reason, but I have the most intriguing conversations on Twitter.
Yes.
And I'm just, and it sounds like you have a lot of the great content on Facebook where you get actual interaction and detective work happening. So I mean, there's different elements to it that I just absolutely agree with you. And I wish I had a Facebook. It's another thing of, I've got the Twitter, the Instagram, and then there's the Facebook. And like, you're exploring Instagram right now. It's like, I just look at it as another mountain to climb that I don't know if I have the time. But I'm super appreciative in this lesson. I've learned so much here. So thank you very much, James.
No problem. And the good thing, like, so with Graham Beck's Exploring Stamps, so he might not be on Facebook, but I can tell you now, Graham, I've shared your video on a number of Facebook groups. So I'll post it on the Rhodesian Study Circle, and then I'll share that out. So I can post your video on Stamp Collectors Group, which has about 17 to 18,000 members. So they'll come into you from there. So it might not necessarily be Graham's own Facebook page, but because he's on social media, I can share. That'll get shared, and it'll come back to Graham at the end of the day. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Thank you, James. Checks in the mail, mate.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm reading a chat. No, that's and you know, I have this sticker on my computer. You know, rough content is better than no content, and you know, you polish it, and you know, if it's one platform, it's one platform. If it's all platforms, it's all platforms. But you know, make the move. I think that's what James would suggest, and certainly Graham. You threw down the
what I would say to Heidi, social media is like a stamp album. We all know that stamp albums, you don't start out one way and it stays the same for your life. It never stays the same. You change around, you know, you get something else, you decide to change your interests. Social media is just like that. So if you start out one way and it doesn't work, change the album. Move your stamps around and try another way of collecting. So never fear.
Did you get that soundbite, Graham? That was beautiful.
Next video. Here we go.
Next video. Well, thank you so much, friends. It's 7:59. I know that there's a few more chats, but we will. This is recorded. Excuse me, and it will be available on YouTube. So please feel free to access it, share it among your club members. share it with your friends. There's a lot of great information that can go to parallel hobbies and attract interest if we're helping our fellow collectors out there, be it coins or you know, graphic novels, whatever. You know, there's a real opportunity for us to continue to be leaders, because that's what we are. We're a very established hobby. So thank you so much, James, Gavin, for joining us from around the globe. What an honor and a privilege. And thank you so much, everyone else, for joining us. Please continue to share content and know that the APS is here for you. If you're not a member, please go check out stamps.org. We've got a great selection of services that are typically geared for our members, open for you now, including the digital library. We have a very cool Adopt a Book program, so you can continue the legacy of learning and philately through making a donation to a book, and it's yours, but it's in the library and it's got a book plate. Thanks so much, everyone. We will see you on Monday for our Stamp Chat featuring Mr. Gary Lowe. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern. Check out stamps.org for the upcoming week Stamp Chat, and be sure to like the YouTube channel, and you'll be getting notifications of all the upcoming Stamp Chats. Thanks so much, friends, for joining us. Have a lovely weekend. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Thanks, friends. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks so much, James.
Thanks, Scott.
Kurt, James.
Thank you.
You got to meet up. Kurt.
Thanks to everyone for being here.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. Thanks.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Come shovel.
Yeah.